Welcome back, viewers. Cassian's peaceful stroll through the Vilzone takes a dark twist when old foes, Blackhand and Crush, reappear with ominous intentions. In this episode, brace for a thrilling showdown as past humiliations resurface. Let's dive into the suspenseful saga. Standing facing them, Cassian suddenly turns around, gazing towards the corner of the street, stating that one of their comrades seems to be hiding there. Realizing he's been spotted, Doubleblade acknowledges that taking him down won't be easy. Meanwhile, Crush eagerly expresses his desire to defeat Cassian, but Blackhand interrupts, declaring his intention to exact revenge. Gritting his teeth and channeling energy into his hand, Blackhand vows to punish Cassian for humiliating him. Remaining unfazed by the threats, Cassian stays composed as Morose warns him to watch out, as their adversaries plan to attack him together. Meanwhile, Blackhand lunges forward to strike, but a massive drum suddenly hurtles between them, halting their confrontation. Confused and frustrated, both Cassian and Blackhand turn around to find another villain named Juak standing behind them, remarking on Blackhand's act to be wrong. While Blackhand continues to express his frustration upon her intervention, Juak reminds them that it is against the rules of their Vilzone to gang up on one person. Refusing to accept, Blackhand argues that this rule does not apply to Cassian since he is not a part of their Vilzone. Just then, they hear a voice declaring that he is soon going to be one of them, causing them to look up and find Crow sitting on a roof, watching them. While Blackhand and his fellows are wondering how she found them, Crow gives them a threatening gaze, telling them to let Cassian go, causing them to become nervous. After a long day at work, Yuri returns home feeling tired and unsure about the offer she received. As she enters the quiet living room, she wonders if her brother has already gone to bed. Wanting to check on him, she heads to his room, but the manager's words replay in her mind, making her feel it's not the right time to talk. She decides to leave her bag and rest instead. As she walks away, the invitation falls out of her bag unnoticed. The next morning, Cassian begins his day with a rigorous sand-weight walking workout, surprising onlookers with his dedication. Watching him exercise, Morose comments on the classic nature of his routine. Cassian explains that it's the best way to build strength and stamina for upcoming battles against groups of enemies. He recalls the events from last night when Crow announced his intention to take the test to become a member of Vilzone, something the villains doubted. Seeing this as a challenge to his pride, Cassian declared he'd take the test in 10 days, shocking all the villains. Accepting his decision, Juak explained the test rules: a one-on-one battle against a chosen opponent, with no intention to kill unless absolutely necessary. She also disclosed she'd be his first opponent, showing her excitement for the competition. Remembering this, Cassian realizes that despite his initial lack of enthusiasm for joining Vilzone, he's determined to do whatever it takes to become stronger and seek revenge on Lampus. With determination, he completes his morning workout and decides to head home. As he is about to leave, he spots two girls watching him closely and briskly moves away. Meanwhile, the girls, who turn out to be Otte and Aroma, admire his hard-working nature and agree to keep his preparations secret from Garnet. Back in his apartment, Cassian freshens up and enters the living room, wondering if Yuri is still asleep. To his surprise, he finds Yuri's belongings scattered around and decides to tidy up while she rests. While gathering the items, he notices the invitation envelope on the floor, which confuses him. Shortly after, Yuri enters the living room, having just woken up, and is surprised to find Cassian examining the envelope. Snatching it away from him, she becomes a little nervous, asking if he read it. Turning around, Cassian, who seems indifferent, states that it seems to be an invitation from the headquarters. A little confused at his reaction, Yuri clarifies that she is not going to accept it, since she does not want to leave him alone. In response, Cassian, who is busy preparing for breakfast, assures her that he will be fine by himself, while thinking that it would be much better, considering his motives. Even as she continues to express her worry about how he'll manage, Cassian reassures her that he's grown up now and will be all right. Turning to her with a comforting smile, he urges her to go, emphasizing that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity she shouldn't miss. He encourages her to follow her heart, setting aside his worries, the words that strengthen her trust and confidence in him. Meanwhile, in the Vilzone, Black Hand and his comrades stand discussing whether Cassian will truly appear for the test. Expressing his frustration, Black Hand mentions there wouldn't have been a need for the test if Juak had allowed him to teach Cassian a lesson. His comrades caution him against overconfidence, reminding him that even Driver, their leader, has been defeated by Cassian. Having high hopes for Juak, a formidable B-rank villain, they anticipate Cassian facing significant humiliation if defeated by her. However, Black Hand has different intentions. He desires Cassian to emerge victorious so he can challenge him in a subsequent bout and seek revenge. Cassian sits in his room, scrolling through his computer as Moros interrupts to ask if he's serious about sending Yuri abroad. Cassian nods, seeing it as a positive move for both of them, especially from Gangu's perspective, not his own. Moros, a bit concerned, questions if Cassian can handle everything alone. Cassian reassures him, mentioning his experience of living alone in the past. Referring to his search history, Moros then points out that he was worried because Cassian searched how to cook rice, to which Cassian replies that this is because Korean food is something he is not familiar with. Meanwhile, Yuri sits in her room, still gazing at the envelope with the words of both the manager and Cassian echoing in her mind. While she is contemplating what to do, someone calls out to her from behind, causing her to become startled. After some time, she sits in a cafe with her friends who question her reason for getting worried. While she remains silent in response, they order a drink and try to lighten up her mood, something which has no impact. At night, while she is highly drunk, Cassian brings her back from the cafe and puts her to sleep. As he is about to leave the room, he hears her murmur in sleep about her happiness to see him grow up and take care of her. These words bring back memories of Jeff for Cassian, making him feel a bit sentimental. He gently lays the blanket over her and quietly exits the room. The following morning, Yuri wakes up later than usual, still feeling a headache. Upon entering the living room, she's surprised to find food waiting on the table. Curiously, she reads the note left beside it. The note, penned by Cassian, informs her of the homemade soup he prepared for her and advises her to heat it up and enjoy it with some rice. Several days later, Cassian sees Yuri off at the airport. She reminds him to eat regularly and keep in touch with her. While he reassures her not to worry too much, Yuri insists that it's beyond her control, urging him to call her if anything happens. With a smile, Cassian reciprocates the advice, promising to be there for her if needed, ready to rush to her side at a moment's notice. With that, they share an affectionate glance before Yuri says goodbye, promising to call him when she reaches there. After the plane departs, Cassian makes his way to the Vilzone to get ready for the test. There, Driver explains the rules of the match to him and his opponents once more, clarifying that there will be no penalty for the loser. After hearing all the rules, Cassian tells him to start the match, expressing his intention to get done with it quickly. Smirking at his confidence, Driver turns to Juak, asking if she is ready, and she agrees, telling him to start the match. Looking at the malevolent glow in Juak's eyes, Moros instructs Cassian not to fall for her tricks, but he seems confident in his abilities. As the onlookers gaze at the two contenders, they ponder the likely outcome of the battle. Both fighters possess exceptional skills, leaving spectators curious about who will emerge victorious. Many lean towards Juak, attributing her superior attack and defense abilities, expertise in close combat, and cunning tactics as her advantages. Some believe Cassian's speed won't serve him well against Juak, considering her to be his toughest adversary. As they contemplate this, Driver signals the start of the match. Upon receiving the signal, Juak rushes forward, wielding her weapon with confidence, aiming to swiftly defeat Cassian. However, just as she prepares to strike, Cassian vanishes from her sight, utilizing his shadow binding ability to ensnare her arms and legs, leaving her bewildered. Calling out to her, Double Blade tells her to look above, causing her to look up, unable to see anyone. While she is trying to locate him, Double Blade calls her out once again, telling her to look in front. Bewildered, she looks in front of her, finding Cassian landing there. Without wasting time, Cassian then launches a powerful blow at her, causing her to go flying backward and crash to the ground. Seeing this, Driver becomes disappointed at Juak, while the other villains stand in shock, unable to believe what just happened. In front of them, Duak lies on the ground, motionless, defeated with just a single blow. Leaving her there, Cassian then steps forward, demanding the next opponent to come. Blackhand is shocked at Duak's fall, considering her reputation as the most formidable defensive villain in the entire Vilzone. Yet, she has been defeated with just one blow. He ponders who exactly Cassian is, possessing such overwhelming skill, while Cassian impatiently calls for the next challenger, indicating his waning patience. As Blackhand hesitates, Crush, turning to him, suggests that Cassian must be referring to him. Suddenly, an arrow materializes out of thin air, striking the ground at Cassian's feet, startling him. Confused, he gazes up to see Red Eye, a notorious villain known as the top hunter in Vilzone. Telling him not to be so confident after a single win, Red Eye challenges him to the next duel. Brace for the upcoming episode, where confidence wavers, challenges arise, and a thrilling duel awaits. Don't miss the heart-pounding continuation of Cassian's journey. Stay tuned.